folks, welcome back. Last week I made a video about buying in a bull market, and I mostly focused on the bigger picture type stuff, kind of the psychology behind it. Today we're going to dive into the details. We're going to talk those specifics that everyone's always asking in the comment sections. I'm going to tell you the exact products that I would be either buying or selling or holding and all that good stuff. Now look guys, I can probably make better educated guesses than a lot of people out there based on my experience in markets and investing and in the Pokemon hobby and being through similar market cycles to this. But at the end of the day, I don't know exactly when something's going to move, at what price it's going to hit, at what price it's going to fall. All I can do is try to get close enough to continuously get more things right than I do wrong. And as long as I do that over an extended period of time, I'm going to do all right financially. Goes that way for any investing. So as always, it's not financial advice. I don't always know, but this is what I would do, and some of these things I am doing in this market. All right? Let's start out with what I am not doing, right? Not buying Twilight Masquerade. I'm not paying $170 for a 3-month-old set that has not got a reprint, but most likely will get some kind of reprint or restock. And also, you have to think about that risk to reward ratio we talk about. It's got such a negatively geared risk to reward ratio. People will say, Alex, I think it's going to go to 200. It might. It might. Well, then if I buy it 170, I'm going to make, $30. Yeah, you could. But the odds are, even if it gets 200, it's going to fall with a reprint or restock in the future. It's most likely going to fall to the 100 to 130 level. In my personal opinion, I think it'll probably stabilize in the 110, 120, 130. I wouldn't get too ahead of yourself thinking, I'm going to be able to find these boxes at $80, $90, $100. Very unlikely it's ever going to happen. So, have a realistic price point in mind when that time comes. But those are the price points I would be looking to pick more of that set up at. But at this point, it just kind of makes more sense to leave it than it does to buy it at $170 a box. Now, at the same time, I'm not selling any. And people will say, well, Alex, why wouldn't you sell it if you think it's going to eventually fall? Well, because I don't 100% know it's going to fall. And if it does fall, like I talked about, I don't know how low it's going to go, right? Let's say I sell at 170. Let's say it gets restocked after it hits 200, it only falls to 130, and then it only stays there for a second, and it ends up, pumping back up to, 150, 160 really, really fast. It's like, well, now I can't even buy it for more than I sold it for and ate the fees and shipping. Or maybe I can barely get in for less, but that's a lot of work, a lot of product to move around just to make, $5, $10, $15, $20 per booster box or per case or whatever it may be. And so, I don't know if it's really a sell right now. I think it's more of a hold, but I don't think it's a buy. If it hits 200, I may start selling and realize some gains and then buy back in if I want to kind of try to lower my cost basis and things like that. But that's one. Surging Sparks, guys. So, here's the thing with Surging Sparks. Will there be more supply in the future? Almost certainly. Will it be lower in the future? Most likely, right? Even if it's the next Evolving Skies. Everyone wants the next Evolving Skies. By the way, I don't think it is the next Evolving Skies, but everyone always compares everything to everything. I definitely don't think it's the next Vivid Voltage. I've seen people compared to Vivid Voltage everywhere across the internet, and no, it is definitely not Vivid Voltage. This isn't the exact same market as we came from during COVID. This is not some kind of set where it's got one hit, the Pikachu, rainbow that everyone wants and everything else sucks. And it's also not, the third or fourth set released in the era. It's the 8th set. There's a lot of differences, and so just because it's got a Pikachu doesn't mean it should be compared to Vivid Voltage. Why not compare it to Team Up, right? That's got a Pikachu. And so, no, I don't think it's Vivid Voltage, but I also think it's Evolving Skies. What I think is happening is we're just seeing the first real hype set since 151. It's the first hyped booster box set in this era. It's in the middle of a bull market. It is short printed. There's a lot of things going for it, and we're working for it price-wise. And so that's why we're seeing the pump that we are seeing. So buying it to invest in at 140s, 150s. I personally believe you'll be able to find it cheaper in the future. I really do. I think there will come a time where these boxes will be maybe 120, 130. But I also I believe it's going to run up to probably 200 plus a booster box in the short term. I truly believe we're going to see $1,000 plus cases before the end of this year. I just think the strength of the set is too much. I think it's going to get opened in mass amounts. I think people are going to chase those cards, and I think the supply is going to dwindle even lower than it already is. And so there are short-term plays there, in my opinion. So if you wanted to take a risk at getting your cost basis down, you can maybe buy some right? And then sell into the strength if it does make it to that $180, $200 a box, realize those gains, and then keep the boxes that you bought with your purchase, and now those boxes' cost basis is now down back to that $120, $110, $100 or less. And so that's definitely a play you can make with Surging Spark. I just don't personally see buying a large position at 140, 150 and throwing it, in the basement and letting it age, because I think there'll come a time in the next 1-2 years where a reprint comes and a new set will be hyped and, it'll crash the price down and it'll probably recover very quickly, I think. But I think there will come a time where you have an opportunity to buy in cheaper. So I wouldn't get too caught up in the FOMO unless you do want to get in a position and then make your play and make some money off of it. Right, and then keep some with the lower cost bases. If you can get your cost bases down to like $100, $110, I would hold that. I think those are great holds. Anything under 110 for these sets right now, I think it's a great hold. So that's my opinion on that. So if you got in cheaper than that, I don't see any problem with holding. If you want to take some profits on some, go ahead. But that's how I feel about that. 151, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Don't be buying 151 PCETBs. Guys, they're 4 times the price they were at release. They were 60, now they're almost 240 in ETB. Don't be buying those PC ETBs. Look, could it keep going? Sure, everything can keep going. But again, your risk to reward is so far skewed, not in your favor, it doesn't make sense. The UPCs, right? They were just at Costco the other day for 80, 90 bucks. Literally a few months ago, now they're 200 plus, right? The ETBs, the booster bundles. Guys, when anything rises that much, that quick, you need to be weary. And you don't need to hit every play. You don't need to have every set, especially if you're coming into the hobby later, right? Obviously, I buy every set, but I buy it at the lows. I buy it at release, pre-release, anytime a reprint happens, anytime I can find a crazy deal. I don't buy it just to have it. Like, if I didn't have 151, I wouldn't have 151, right? I would not be buying at these prices. So I would leave that right now. Profit-wise, I've already taken some profits. We've talked about it. I've already taken some of my PC ETBs and sold those. I'm holding my UPCs right now, not buying more. And I'm kind of letting it ride and see what happens. Everything else, you don't need to be too afraid of things like Temporal Forces, Obsidian Flames, but they're not like the greatest screen plays right now. But slabs-wise, don't chase the Charizard 151. I understand if you're new, it seems like this is going to go to the moon and it's going to be the talk of the town forever, and 151's so iconic and this card's iconic and it's never going to come down. It will. It will. The Bubble Mew from Paldean Fates is going crazy right now. You've got the Umbreon VMAX from Evolving Skies, the Moonbreon, going on another run right now. You've got Giratina, Rayquaza VMAX, Gengar all following it. All of these things, guys, singles have a very different life than booster boxes. Booster boxes go through a lot of turmoil in the first couple of years because of reprints, restocks, all the fears. But after they age 3, 4, 5, 6 years, they don't go through as many of those price swings, and they usually have a very steady trend line up as the scarcity rises and people want to continue to collect them and remove them from the market. As the scarcity gets so wide on the market, the price rises and people continue to buy them. However, there are plays out there, okay? So those are kind of the things I would hold off on. I'm not saying Umbreon VMAX won't go to 2,000. I'm not saying Giratina, Rayquaza aren't going to be 1,000 plus. I'm not saying Gengar's not going to be 1,000 plus. I'm not saying All-Stars are bad for even longer term. I'm not saying Charizard and Mew and the SIRs won't be buys at some point. I'm just saying right now it's too much move, too fast. I wouldn't be chasing. Okay, fair? Now, getting into what I would be buying, right? To get away from the negativity. Now, the good part, the good side of this market. Paradox Rift. I think we are going to look back at Paradox Rift in a couple of years and just think how stupid we were for not buying more, for not buying it, for not stocking up on it when it was freaking $100 a box. If you can find Paradox Rift for $100 a box, $600 a case, or anywhere near that, it's a screaming buy. SV base, I get it. It's not the greatest set. Doesn't have the greatest pulls, right? Base sets have done pretty good. Go look at best base sets. They've done relatively good. Not the best, not the greatest, but they've done relatively good. And anytime every set's moving and you have just a couple that are stuck at like $100, $105, $95, whatever, those are usually screaming buys. So I am actually going to say base set would probably be a good idea to pick up if you don't already have it. I'm not saying to go crazy with it, but it does make sense at this price point is all I'm saying. And then Stellar Crown, if you don't have any Stellar Crown yet, it's still really cheap. Maybe a good idea to pick some of that up. Again, I wouldn't go crazy in base set or Stellar Crown. I'd probably put more money in Paradox, but it does make sense to have a little bit of everything because we just don't know what the future holds. If I knew, I wouldn't diversify. I would buy just the sets I knew were going to move, and I would hold just 151 and Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks, and everything would go to the moon, right? But I didn't know Twilight Masquerade was going to do what it did. Did anybody? Going back to the slabs. Okay. Sorry, let's go to Sword and Shield first. Pretty easy. Astral Radiance, Brilliant Stars, Silver Tempest. Those are screaming buys. Everything else is moving. Everything. You got Evolving Skies moving, Fusion Strike moving, Chilling Reign moving, and Lost Origin all moving. They're all doing very well. You even have sets like SV Base moving. I think, freaking Darkness and Blaze is moving up. Those three sets, though, Astral, Silver, and Brilliant, those are primed to move. They do have the alt-arts. They're very good alt-arts. Lugia, Charizard, Machamp, and they're all also trainer gallery sets where they have great trainer galleries, right? Rayquaza VMAX, Starmie V, Garchomp, you got the Umbreons, the Sylveons, the Mimikyus, all the evolutions. There's great trainer galleries in all those sets. And so all of those sets at the current price points still make a whole lot of sense. Going to the slab market. All right. Be careful diving too deep in the sets. So what I mean is seeing, the alt-art start to move and say, I'm going to go pick up all the ones that haven't moved yet. I'm going to pick up the Medicham and the Greedent and all these like crazy real low, low value alt-arts that they're all going to go. A rising tide races all ships. Not going to happen, guys. In my opinion, it's not going to happen. There will be other alt-arts rise, but I would stick to the popular Pokemon, right? I would stick to the top few hits in the set. Unless it's Evolving Skies, you can go real deep because it's got all the evolutions, it's got Dragonite, Rayquazas, a lot of stuff you can pick up in there, right? But mostly it's top few hits. If you go to Silver Tempest, Lugia V. Lugia V is still a great pickup for the price point it's at. I think that's a great pickup in this market. Yes, I have bought some Lugia Vs, right? I practice what I preach. Brilliant Stars, right? Charizard. I think it's one of those undervalued alt-arts in the entire era. I've been buying Charizards. Yes, something I have been doing. We've got Astral Radiance, the Machamp. It's cool. It may see some moves. You could move into that, right? Going to what's another set? Let's see, Lost Origin. The Aerodactyl. It's a great art. Probably not my first choice, but Aerodactyl could be a choice. You go to Chilling Reign. Obviously, the Blaziken. I think the Blaziken's a great pickup. Hasn't seen a move yet. I think it's still trending down at this point. The Galarian Moltres, right? Go to Fusion Strike. The Gengar's already moving, but what about the Espeon? The Espeon's still down. I think the Espeon's a great pickup right now. We go to, Evolving Skies, guys. Just go down the list. Get the evolutions. I would stick to the V Maxes. They're probably going to do a little better than the Vs are. Obviously, their Rayquaza V Max is already moving. Dragonite doesn't have a V Max, so the V there might be okay. But that's what I think about Evolving Skies. What else do we got? What other sets am I missing there? I think that's about all of them, all the alt-art sets. Go to Battle Styles. If you want to pick up a Sleepy Tyranitar, you can always do that. But those are some of the ones that I'd be looking for if you really want to pick them up. Going into Scarlet Violet era, again, same thing. Look for the SIRs or the IRs that have not moved during this boom, right? So not the Greninjas, not the Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur from 151, not the Bubble Mew. Try to look outside the box, and again, don't dive too deep. Don't find some 10th best hit SIR and be like, Alex, this is still $10. No way this shouldn't be moving. Probably not, man. Look for the popular characters, the ones that are some of the top hits in the set that have still been trending down. That is when you want to pick them up, right? Not when they've already moved 20, 30, 40, 50, 100%, like some of these cards have. And so that is what I am still looking for in this market. As far as grading goes, if you're a card grader, I want to explain something to you. It's not always the worst idea to try to grade into this boom, into this strength. What I mean is, it's definitely a time where you want to send cards in that are 99.99% PSA 10 candidates. It's not a time where you want to try to get risky with it and be like, well, it's a little off-centered on back. It's got a white dot. It's got, a real faint print line. It's got a real faint scratch on the front, or the surface isn't the greatest. Don't send those cards right now on the already pumped up cards, right? Do not try to, gamble. Send the perfect cards, perfectly centered, absolutely no whiting, absolutely no, surface issues. As long as the grader, didn't just break up with his wife and leave his family and sleeping on some couch in a Motel 8. As long as he didn't do that, it's going to get a 10 type thing. Right? Unfortunately, there's human error, guys. It is what it is. But as long as you're sending perfect cards, I still think it's a good idea to send cards. So what I mean is the Charizard from 151. You can say, Alex, why would you buy that at $200? Well, because it's going for $650, $750 in a PSA 10. Yeah, but it could drop back down. Drop back down to what? It was $330, $350 before the run. What do you think it's going to drop to? Back to $330, $350? Cool. I still made $150. Maybe realistically it drops back down in the 500s, maybe in the 400s, and I still double my money, right? So you have to look at those things and say, wait, there's still a lot of money to be made here. And then think about this. What if the run continues and it goes to 750, 850, and by the time you get your cards back, you're able to like 4x your money. That could happen too, right? But there's not a lot of risk there as long as you're sending in 10s, right? If you get a 9 and it drops and then the raw is only like 150, 140, and then you got to pay grading fees and shipping and all that, yeah, then you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit pretty hard. But that's why I said be very sure on the cards you're sending. Same thing with the Umbreon VMAX, same thing with Rayquaza VMAX, the Giratina, the Gengar VMAX, same thing with the Bubble Mew, same thing with any of the cards that have seen sharp rises. It's not a terrible idea to continue to try to grade those cards. It usually only takes 1 to 2 months to get those cards back from PSA. And again, if you get the 10, even at their old price points, usually you still made money, like from their current raw price to the old PSA 10 price point. As long as that's your stress test, you're going to be fine, right? I mean, in my opinion, you're going to be fine. I'm still grading those cards if I can find them and they're PSA 10 candidates, so I wouldn't worry too much there. Also, getting ahead of the wave. Like I said, some of these SIRs that haven't moved yet, that are some of the top hits in the set, they just haven't taken off. The money hasn't moved there yet. These other alt arts, these trainer galleries that are still sitting stagnant, right? Like the Umbreon VMAX and V, Sylveon VMAX and V trainer galleries from Brilliant Stars, still dead, right? Silver Tempest Rayquaza VMAX, still dead. Lost Origin Pikachu V VMAX, still dead. Right? Starmie V, I forget what Starmie V is doing right now. I don't think it's doing too much. But like, yeah, the Lugia V Alt-Art, Charizard V Alt-Art, Blaziken V Max Alt-Art, those things, great times to pick up the raw copies and grade them, because odds are, hear me out, the odds are they're going to follow the trend of the other alt-arts and kind of play into the boom of this market. And while your cards are sitting at PSA, the value is just going up. So even if you grade a 9 with those, you're most likely going to make money, which is crazy in modern cards. You're going to make money on a 9 because by the time you get it back, the market's already risen on the raw and 9 values. If you get a 10, you hit a home run because now the 10 market's way up. And so those are great grading plays, is getting ahead of the move, sending in the cards early, and while they're at PSA getting graded, you're just watching your bank account go up. By the time you get them back, you're just realizing it. And so those are the things I look for in this market, guys. I hope that is specific enough. I tried to actually use like real products, not just give like, kind of hypotheticals. As always though, just one guy, just one opinion. The market's made up of all of us, right? I can't predict exactly what the market's going to do. I've done pretty well on average up to this point. I'm confident in everything I'm saying, but nothing is a sure thing. So make sure anything you're doing, you're using money that you can't afford to lose. You understand the risk involved. And you know that anything can always go the other way. There's a lot of things that happen in the world based on, we've seen, worldwide pandemics, we've seen wars, we've seen stock market crashes, we're getting a new president here in the U.S. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. A lot of things can always happen. But you can't let all those things stop you from trying to reach your goals and stop you from kind of living life. That's how I always see things. I try to block out all of the, kind of outside noise and stay focused on, the numbers and the data and the plays that I can make based on what data we have. If some crazy thing happens, well, that's an act of God or that's a, act of, humanity. You can't always anticipate every single move coming at you. All you can do is kind of prepare for the worst, plan for the best, and do the best you can. So, hope this video helped. Hope it helped you make some plays and kind of narrow down some of the things you're wanting to pick up. That way you don't have to ask me in the comment section after the video, Alex, what do you think about this? That's what I think. That's what I think right there. So, subscribe to the channel if you're not yet. Be back here in a new one soon. I'm out.